This is Karen on newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with
me, Paul Seaburn. Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Fine. How are
Well,
you?
What in the world audience? I'm doing great. I'm saying hello here to Karen Hale, our producer and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. And there she is, waving away there for those of you on YouTube, and to John Dinallo over there, our color commentator and host of what in the world of sports. I'll get it one of these days. Let's see, after about 4 years.
About time.
Something like that. Yeah.
One of these days, that's right. I should have showed up at rehearsal. You know, I find other things to do as always. So yes, thank you for joining us here at What in the World, your place for weird news. You find the news that we talk about nowhere else on the internet, but on What in the World. And why is it unique for What in the World? Because we like to have a good time with it. So we stay away from the bad news, the political news, the business news, you name it. What we like to do is talk about our motto: real news, sometimes strange, always funny, from around the world, sometimes around the universe. Today, in fact, we are going from out of our own time zone, not just time zone, but time period, into the future. So what, I don't even know what to call that. Yeah, but we're doing it. We're going out of our own time. So
we're stepping forward.
There you go. Should be fun, like the Time Tunnel or some of those other famous time movies. Anyways, I want to do so thank you for joining us, whatever you're joining us on. If you're on a podcast, on whatever platform, thank you. Make sure you like us or do whatever it is you do to let people know that you're watching. YouTube, same way. And I want to give a shout out to Amy from Youngstown. Boy, we don't get to do those too often. Amy contacted me on Facebook and said how much she enjoyed the show. She's originally from Northeast Ohio, from the Cleveland area where we're broadcasting from. Now lives in Youngstown. So Amy, thank you so much for tuning in. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell people you don't even know. We don't care. Just have them watch the show. Listen.
Go stand out on the corner with the sign.
There you go. I've seen those people, Karen. I'm not sure they're advertising podcasts.
Oh, well.
But they seem to be doing well collecting. So,
yes.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We've got, as always, stories from around the world that every week, as I say to Karen, there's no way we'll be able to top those stories. And yet, here we go. Get a load of this. I'm going to warn you, although these sound dirty, they're not. We will be extremely careful so that we don't get banned from any platform. But we will be talking about the country with the most people wanting to have sex with extraterrestrials. You'll be shocked at what country this is.
I will be.
And then, on the same line, a country that is sending sex toys into space, hoping to get a contract with NASA to do the same thing. You'll never guess what country this is. Then, on the guessing game, we have one more in the guessing game. There's a new shark attack capital of the world. You'll never guess where it's at. And I'll give you a hint. It's close. Let's see. Then we're going to talk about this guy who's stuck in the future. Not very far, year 2027, but he's stuck. He's going to tell us what it's like. We're going to have a movie moment. Remember the movie Psycho, the Hitchcock movie?
Yeah.
Turns out a woman in England was attacked in the shower by a ghost. So we'll be talking about her. We'll talk a little bit about the world's most expensive grilled cheese sandwich and the world's most expensive Dorito. So a couple of world records for us this week.
Wow.
John's hungry already. I know.
I am. You got me all.
Every time we talk about food, all of a sudden John disappears for a minute.
Oh, boy.
And then this is one of my favorite stories of the week. The guy in the Netherlands made a motorcycle powered by swamp gas that he collects on his own from swamps. You just have to hear it.
Strange but true, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Let's see, what else do we have? Unusual world records. more trivia, more strange news. And of course, John Donalo has another strange sport for us this week. We top it all off with Bluff the co-host. And if I remember correctly, John was probably practicing all week because of last week's score. So
I'm sure. Absolutely. He won last week.
John was the John was the American gymnastics team of Bluff the co-host last week. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I'll tell you what, folks, truth be told, I have been practicing. So
I know you've been practicing. So let's get right to it with one of the biggest stories of the past week. And sometimes we dabble in stories that are also covered by the mainstream media. In fact, we've noticed sometimes that the mainstream media must be listening to us because sometimes they do the story after we do.
They do.
Yes. So mainstream media, we're on to you. But let's get started. So I think just about everybody saw or heard about Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, going into space last week, making him the second billionaire to shoot himself into space in the past 2 weeks. The guy from Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines did it the 2 weeks before. So what the difference with Jeff Bezos is he took some passengers with him. He took Wally Bent, I think was her name. We talked about her last week, the world's oldest person in space, oldest woman in space, 82 years old. He also took an 18-year-old student with him, making him the world's youngest space person. In fact, I think I have a picture of them while I'm talking about it there. There we go. So not quite the clear picture, but there must be a Bigfoot in here somewhere. That's why the picture's blurry.
good chance of that happening, Paul, for sure.
So anyways, the kid on the left is the 18-year-old. His name is Oliver Damon. And after it was all over, I didn't see this interview, but it turns out he was talking to Jeff Bezos, and he told him that, this may have been during the flight. He told him that the 18-year-old, he said, I have never ordered anything from Amazon.com. And Jeff Bezos looked, can you believe that? Jeff Bezos looked over at him and he said, you know what? You should have at least ordered a parachute.
Wow.
Touche.
Yeah, can you believe it? That he never ordered any. I didn't think there was anyone in the world who's never ordered anything from Amazon. But this guy Bezos, like he needs the money. He's unbelievable. It turns out after he came back, he contacted NASA this week. The administrator, Bill Nelson, former congressman, former astronaut, good guy, all around good guy. Bezos sent him a letter and he says, okay, I came back from space. I want to give you $2 billion to help with the budget for putting humans back on the moon. Sounds like a great deal, except quid pro quo. He says, what you have to do is give me a contract with NASA. So he's not giving him the money.
Right.
He's charging him $2 billion for a contract.
Wow.
But he calls it, I'm donating the money. Not only that, he offered another $1 billion if the astronauts on the moon will wear that silly cowboy hat like he did. So, this guy he's out of control. He's out of control. I'm disappointed in him. So some good news about NASA. We'll move on from Jeff Bezos. On Mars, we talk about Mars all the time. So there's a helicopter on Mars. NASA put a helicopter on Mars, the Ingenuity helicopter. It flew at its highest altitude yet, 40 feet off the ground on Mars. That's unbelievable to me. And it made its 10th flight, which means that it has traveled since it's been on Mars in April. It has traveled a mile above ground from place to place in space over Mars. That's unbelievable to me.
A whole mile?
A whole mile in 10 stops.
Yeah.
So now since it took 10 stops, they're now referring to it as the Southwest Airlines of Mars. It's still, that's quite an accomplishment. John or Karen, have you ever been on a helicopter just out of curiosity?
Yeah, a long, long time ago. And it was one of those whirly birds with the no sides on it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And I screamed the whole way.
No.
Yes.
How
The
about
poor
you, John?
pilot.
Have you,
No, honestly, I have never been on a helicopter. Never
Really?
been. Yeah.
I've been on one twice. The one I flew on one in Ann Arbor when the lovely Don and I lived in Ann Arbor, and it was part of a carnival that we went to, and they actually flew over our house. The pilot said, "Where do you live?" "Oh yeah, I know that neighborhood." And he flies over our house, which I wish I had brought some bird poop, because he also flew over my neighbor's house, and I didn't like that. I was
Ah,
But yeah, I agree, Karen, that this was one of those kinds of helicopters, the little globe
yep.
with the
Yep.
open door, kind of terrifying. You keep checking your seat belt, and um, anyways, I just wondered. That just reminded me. I'm fascinated by helicopters, not necessarily flying in them, but I'm fascinated by them. Okay, so let's get to something that I know John will be interested in, and that's sports. Now, the Olympics are going on right now. This something just absolutely unbelievable happened. I believe it was on Sunday. The surprise basketball star of the Tokyo Olympics does not play in the NBA. This star basketball player, there's a video of him right here for those on YouTube, is a robot, and that robot sank 3 shots. He took 3 shots and he sank 3 shots. He took a free throw, then he took one from the 3-point line, and he took one from the half court and sank all 3 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Did you see that, John?
I did not. No, I didn't. Wow.
It was at halftime of some obscure game.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable. Very slowly, it even walks over and picks up the ball itself, which that alone is phenomenal. So this robot was made by Toyota. Believe it or not, Toyota engineers, in their spare time, they developed this robot
Wow.
and trained it to shoot far better than Seth. What's his name? The guy that makes all the top scorer in the NBA, John. His father played for the Cavaliers. Think of
Steph Curry.
there you go, Steph Curry. That's right. This guy put Steph Curry to shame. So and they do this. They make it into spare time. What do I do in my spare time? I watch the Olympics.
Yeah.
Here they are making robots that are the feature in the Olympics. The thing I like about basketball is that basketball players have the best nicknames, I believe, in the sports world. And I'm going to give you a couple. Clyde the Glide, Wilt the Stilt, 2 famous ones. So I'm thinking this basketball playing robot deserves a nickname. So I'll throw it open to you, Karen and John. What nickname does that robot deserve? Any thoughts? None. Okay, I'll help you out.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate it.
What's that?
We appreciate it.
One famous robot in movies and television was Robbie the Robot.
That comes to mind immediately, Paul. That comes to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So if his name was Robbie or Rob, he could be called Rob the Lob. Like lobbing the
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Not bad. I know, not bad. How about this one? There was another famous robot in the Day the Earth Stood Still. His name was Klaatu. So if he's a true basketball player, we could call him Klaatu the Tattoo. Not exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Or how about this one? The short version of robot is Bach. So we could call him Bach the Shot.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Now my favorite one though is not there's no the in it, but LeBoc James. Sorry. Either one of you, would you pay to see robots play basketball?
No.
I'm going to add, no, I agree with Karen. I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to say
John. Okay. I'll ask John this because I know Karen's answer. What if there were robot cheerleaders? Would you go then?
I don't know. That puts me on the fence. Honestly, puts me on the fence. I'm not sure, Paul. But I know
Okay, all right. So
it's
I'm
robot
still
never-
amazed. That is the absolute coolest thing I've ever seen a robot do. Thinking
Yeah.
shots like there's no tomorrow.
No kidding.
All right, so let's go to a couple of world records here. First one is I'll get the robot off the screen here, and we'll take a look at that's not the one I want. There it is over there. For some reason, my photos are skipping here. Okay, so what this is the world's most expensive grilled cheese sandwich. That sandwich there sells for $214 at the Serendipity 3 restaurant in New York City. Of course, where else would you find the world's most expensive grilled cheese sandwich? It's called the quintessential grilled cheese made with, get ready
Is
for
it
this.
gold?
That hold on, Karen, don't get ahead of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's made with 2 pieces of French Pullman champagne bread made with Dom Perignon champagne, edible gold flakes, white truffle butter, and a very rare, let's see if I can pronounce this, Caciocavallo Podolico cheese, obviously from Italy, I would say. $214 for one grilled cheese sandwich. And believe it or not, they only sold one
Yeah.
because the poor chef had a heart attack after the person who ordered it also wanted a side of Campbell's tomato soup. $214. I have a hard time spending $10 on a sandwich these days.
Yeah.
And I've been to New York plenty of times. I know stuff is expensive. I know I've paid probably $20 for a pastrami sandwich at one of the famous delis. But there you're paying for the ambiance, not just for the pastrami.
Who wants to eat gold?
Well, it's edible gold, Karen. Who wants to eat gold? People who want to see their poop gold. That's what.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Does the gold have a taste? Is there a flavor to it?
I have no idea, John. I'll tell you what. When we have enough money in the budget, I'll get us some, and we'll all feast it on the air. How about that?
Okay, all right, sure.
So the most depressing part of this story is the history of grilled cheese sandwiches. I wondered, there's a first for everything. So grilled cheese actually dates back to the ancient Romans. They figured out a way to, obviously had cheese and figured out how to grill probably on hot rocks or if they were in Pompeii on lava. But grilled cheese became popular in the United States during the Depression, hence the depressing. The original American grilled cheese sandwich was called the Cheese Dream, and it was an open-faced grilled cheese sandwich, which became popular during the Great Depression, when there were plenty of scarcities of food. During World War II, it was served to soldiers serving overseas. The government, the U.S. government, gave Army and Navy cooks a cookbook to cook from, and to make cheap stuff for the troops. And they made American cheese grilled cheese sandwich because they were filling and apparently nutritional. Now, why do you think grilled cheese is paired up with tomato soup? Because growing up, we all ate Campbell's tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich using white bread, pasteurized processed American cheese food product, and probably butter smeared all over it before it was toasted. And I know John's really hungry now. So why do you think the tomato soup is there, John?
I'm not sure of that. I have no idea.
This also goes back to World War II. After World War II, during the baby boom generation, of which the three of us are a part of, school cafeterias became institutionalized. And what they did was they got government standards for serving food, and one of the things that they required was a vitamin C. So when they served grilled cheese, they needed to add some vitamin C. They didn't want to give the kids orange juice. Tomato soup happens to be loaded with vitamin C. So blame the U.S. government and the baby boomer generation on
Wow.
Campbell's tomato soup with grilled cheese sandwiches.
Hmm.
How about that? Now let's go to
make them right now.
okay, wait a minute, John, because you'll want to taste one. You may want to consider swapping the American cheese out for this. Our other world record this week is the world record for the most expensive Dorito. This goes to a 13-year-old Australian girl. Now, this girl didn't find any ordinary Dorito in the bag. What she found was a rare puffy Dorito. And I have a picture of this puffy Dorito on the screen. If you turn it sideways, it looks like it was inflated like a balloon or a pillow at least. She kind of smart young girl there, 13 years old. She contacted the PepsiCo, I think is who owns the Doritos, and showed them a picture of it. They paid her, get ready for this, $20,000 for that puffy Dorito, which is more. She was also offered $10,000 by a rapper named Puffy Chip, but she took the $20,000.
Aw.
Puffy Doritos. How about that? Would you have that with your tomato soup, John?
No, it would be such a unique item. I wouldn't want to eat it.
I know John would have it framed and hung in his basement. That
Well, it's unique, obviously. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, the heck with the $20,000. I want to have it in my basement.
Sure.
Turns out Doritos, they're ubiquitous, especially during the Super Bowl. You can't watch for 10 minutes without seeing a Doritos commercial. The original Doritos were first made by the Frito-Lay company in 1964. I didn't realize they went back that far. I thought they were a more recent kind of thing. And basically, they're just flavored tortilla chips. The original Dorito, however, had no flavor, which made it just a plain old tortilla chip. But they to fool people, they said they called it the toasted corn flavor, which is basically what a chip tastes like. So the first flavor in 1967 was taco Doritos, followed by, in 1972, the one everybody knows, nacho cheese flavored Doritos. Believe it or not, the term Dorito, John, no, you didn't take Spanish in school, if I'm
I
not
did
mistaken.
not. No, I did not.
Karen, how about you? Do you know, how's your Spanish?
I left it in high school.
Okay, all right. So I'll help you out here.
Okay.
Dorito comes from the Spanish word doradito, which means little fried and golden thing.
Oh.
Oh,
Which I think Doritos is a whole lot easier to say than little fried and donut, golden thing. 1990s, in a partnership with PepsiCo, which now owns Frito-Lay, and Taco Bell came out with something else that you see on TV all the time, the Taco Bell Taco Supreme in a Dorito tortilla. They've been around since the 1990s. And, both the food at Taco Bell and Doritos are as far as you can get from Mexican food as you can possibly get. It's like Gino's pizza rolls are as far as you can get from Italian food as you can. So anyway, smart little girl there in Australia.
Absolutely.
$20,000 richer. So John, go slowly through your next bag of Doritos because they could be worth something.
Thanks for the heads up, Paul. I will.
Everybody out there, go through your Doritos bag slow. We won't be offering $20,000, but it looks like Frito-Lay or PepsiCo will. Okay, so now let's get to this guy in the Netherlands on his unique bike. Now this is a motorbike for those of you who can't see it, with he replaced the seat with some 2x4s, it appears to be. And then behind him on a pole is a giant bladder-shaped object, probably half as big as he is. And he's dressed in a long coat. His name is Gijus Skalchik, which is, I'm sure I butchered that. He's a Dutch inventor and engineering student. He modified his Honda GX160 motorcycle to run on methane that he collects from roadside swamps, which makes it swamp gas. If he fills up that bladder, he can ride for 12 miles at a top speed of 27 miles per hour on one tank of swamp gas, which he paid nothing for. Now, to me, I think I have a picture of him zipping along. Yeah, looks like he's going pretty fast there, which could be an optical illusion. But his hair is blowing behind him, in a sexy engineer kind of way. The best part is he doesn't have to worry about traffic because nobody's going to pull up behind him with when you're in a methane powered motorcycle. All right, so let's get to these two strange stories that come to us from my work at Mysterious Universe, where I am the editor and head writer. For any of you who have come to us by linking to Mysterious Universe, by the way, thank you for joining us. And please keep going back to Mysterious Universe too. So anyway, everybody's talking about UFOs, but nobody's talking about sex with extraterrestrials, except on What in the World. That's what we're going to talk about today. So first story.
Talking about sex?
Yes, I can say sex, right? Okay, I can.
You've already said it.
I've already said it. Oh. Anyways, so there's one country in the world which has the most people who claim to have had sex with extraterrestrials. What country do you think that is? I'll throw that out to everybody. Those of you playing at home, what country do you think it is? Karen's got a thought.
It has to come from the Soviet Union.
Soviet Union. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Probably Siberia. They're.
Yeah.
Okay. How about John? What do you say?
I want to say mainland China.
Mainland China.
Whoa.
If they can only have one human kid, maybe they'll have a bunch of alien kids. Is that what you're thinking, John?
That's what I'm thinking.
Turns out the country with the most people having sex with aliens is Great Britain. Hard to believe. New survey. 2,000 people studied. Of those 2,000 people, 300 of them responded saying that, yes, I have had sex with an extraterrestrial. And they identified the places most likely to meet one to have sex with. Where do you think that might be? I was thinking, maybe in Buckingham Palace, obviously, or at the top of the Tower of London, where they could land their flying saucer and drop in for a quickie. Or maybe in the middle of Stonehenge, fly over, make a couple crop circles, then head over to Stonehenge, have another one-night stand, and back to Alpha Centauri, or wherever they're from. So anyways, the survey was done by the online site buzzbingo.com, which is an online bingo gambling service. Who knew that you could gamble on bingo online? Not me.
Me either.
No, that's new to me as well.
What they do to make this feeling more authentic, they send you a little scratch off card, and it's a scratch and sniff. And when you scratch it, it smells like a smoke-filled room. They can feel like you're in a bingo parlor. So anyway, 300 people said that they've had sex with aliens. 25% of those were from Norwich. So Norwich is an English city. That's the place to go if you want to have sex with extraterrestrial. The 31% of the people responding said, it's also a big UFO site. A lot of people see UFOs. It's the number one place for seeing UFOs. Second was Bristol. Interesting city, Bristol. Liverpool third. So I like Bristol. Do you know what they call having sex with an alien in Bristol? They call it during the Bristol Stomp.
Oh.
Which means it's time for some trivia.
Yeah.
Nice
All right, John. I'll throw this one to John. You remember that song, the Bristol Stomp?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Karen remembers the song as well. Do you remember the name of the group that sang the Bristol Stomp?
I do not.
Do, do, do. Well, we're not going to play that song very long. It was the Dovells. The Dovells.
Okay, all right.
1961. Yes. Bristol Stomp. The Dovells come to us from Philadelphia, which in 1961 was the doo-wop capital of the world.
American Bandstand.
American Bandstand came from there. Thank you,
Sure.
Karen. Quite a few early groups before the Beatles came from Philadelphia. I think Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons came from
Mhm.
Philadelphia, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. The Bristol in the song is a city in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Philadelphia, called Bristol. And the song is about teenagers who worked at the Goodwill Hose Company in Bristol in 1961, entertaining themselves by doing dances. And the famous line, it says, the song, really something when the joint is jumping when they do the Bristol Stomp. The Dovells recorded in 1961, made #2 on the Billboard charts. #1, and this is a song that's special to John and myself, I'll explain in a minute, Run Around Sue by Dion. I know John remembers we used to do a fake doo-wop group in our fraternity where we sang Run Around Sue.
Yes, we did. We sang that at many parties.
Many parties, yes, very poorly, usually well lubricated.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, that's right. We sounded better.
Yes, we did.
So, back to the aliens. Okay, so why do extraterrestrials like the British? That was my question. Turns out we talked about this last week. The British are prepared for aliens, as opposed to Americans. We just arm up and get ready for them. The British, some of the things they do, they go to the store to stock up on food. They bake a cake and they put on a pot of tea. So alien shows up at the window, peeking in from his flying saucer, and sees there's tea boiling, there's water boiling for tea, there's a fresh cake popped out of the oven, there's Doritos on the shelf. Of course they're going to come there. So Karen, I'm going to ask you, I'll throw this one to you. What would you do if an ET showed up at your house and propositioned you of course, when Richard was out of town?
Hey, yeah, I'd go for it. Yeah.
Would you put a kettle on first?
Oh no,
No?
crack out the
No,
crack
I
out
wouldn't
the
put
wine.
anything on. That's the correct answer.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the country sending sex toys into space. I just as always, this is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. This is real news. There's an actual company in an actual country. What country do you think is sending sex toys into space? And you can't use the two that you guessed for the first one. I'll eliminate those. John, we'll throw this one to you first.
how about Australia?
Australia. Good answer. Not correct. Karen, how about you?
Australia is a continent. How about Nigeria?
Nigeria. when they're not trying to get us to sign up our bank accounts for a $2 billion deposit.
Well, I got a call from the king.
From the king. Whoa,
King
not even a
yesterday.
prince. You got a call from the king.
I got a phone call from the king.
And how much was he offering you?
Well, he didn't quite say, because I told him I was from the FBI.
Good reply, Karen.
Good idea. Okay,
But I think
so
Nigeria. Yeah.
Nigeria. All right. Neither one of those is correct. The actual country is Japan. Turns out, and before we go any further, I'm going to explain that the sex toy in question that we're discussing here is a male sex aid. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
It's not a female sexual aid, like Jeff Bezos's rocket. If you saw a picture of that, this is different. This is a male sex toy, battery operated. Anyway, so it's made by a company called Tenga, which is a Japanese maker of male sex toys. They're known, I can't believe this, they're known for their elegant designs. Believe it or not, they won awards for the design of their sex toys at an industrial design award at a industrial fair, design fair in 2012. So here's their pitch to NASA. When the astronauts on the moon are done after a hard day of digging moon rocks, and they're tired and they're lonely and they're stressed out and they've read all the books in the moon base, they need something else to relieve their stress. And Tenga wants to provide it. So single use. I'm not gonna. You don't need to know anymore. Single use. Okay. So they raised money. They held up a fundraiser and raised enough money, and they partnered with a real rocket company, the Momo Rocket Company in Japan, which sells discount rockets, budget rockets. So they're teamed up with these guys. They're going to send 3 things into space. First, they have messages from Tenga customers wishing them luck. So they're putting those in the rocket. Then they're sending a little robot figure, their mascot, that the rocket is going to spit out, and it's going to fall to the ground in a parachute, and they're going to look for it. And then they're going to send 1 or more of their famous sex toys to see how space affects them, their performance when they come back. I can't believe it. So what next? What next? I would be remiss to point out that there's going to be women on the moon, and there's already women in space. Why aren't they thinking about a woman's needs when they're at the moon?
Yeah, why aren't you thinking about a woman's needs?
There you go. I agree, Karen. Although I had one thought based on my not vast experience with women, is that many of them might think, well, if the guy's got his toy, he's not going to bother me, and that'll relieve my stress.
Well, that's true.
There you go. There you go.
That's what we're looking at, I guess.
I think if there's a female billionaire out there, a female equivalent of Bezos and Branson, this is what she ought to be working on, because and NASA might buy it. Who knows? They actually might buy it. Okay, I'm gonna run through this one here. We have one more. I had one more question for you, and that was, what is the new shark attack capital of the world? And I gave you a hint. It's very close to where we're at. Somewhat close. So that narrows it. I'll ask for a city. That narrows it down to the country. It's not Canada. I don't think there's sharks in Canada. Hey, nobody's got a guess. Okay, I'll let you know. It's Massachusetts, of all places. Cape Cod. Yeah, Cape Cod, Massachusetts is now the #1 shark attack capital of the world. So Peter Benchley and Steven Spielberg and the Jaws movie, they were all right. Don't go swimming off the coast of Massachusetts. The Atlantic White Shark Conservatory, which collects data, has a Sharktivity app. There's an app for everything, including keeping track of shark attacks. So their app says that there were 50 great white sharks spotted off the coast of Cape Cod so far this summer. 2021, they've already seen 50 great white sharks. 5 people have been bitten by them since 2012, and 1 person unfortunately died. In 2021, there have been 33 incidents of encounters with great white sharks, far ahead of the United States, far ahead of Australia, which is #2. So Australia obviously has better swimmers in the Olympics. We got better swimmers off the coast of Cape Cod. And this is up from previous years. The 2 top towns in the world, Cape Cod and Cape Town, South Africa. And they say that because both have a high density of people, seals, and great white sharks. So those are the 3 things you want to
all together, and that's what you have happen, right?
That's what you have, yeah. So they talked to lifeguards, and they said, if you fly the danger flag every day, everybody ignores it. So that's why there's, people are swimming even though there's great white sharks around. What we need is a cartoon character like Smokey the Bear to warn people, like only you can prevent forest fires, only you can not get eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be. Maybe the guy from Jaws, the Richard Dreyfuss character, or I was thinking maybe David Hasselhoff. He was the lifeguard in
Give him
Baywatch.
something to do. Yep.
He'd be a good one. Or even me. Okay, I even came up with a slogan. Sharks are like Homer Simpson, and people are like donuts. Only you can prevent overweight belching sharks.
Oh, no,
Oh.
no.
No, no.
It's
Okay, I gave it a try. I gave it a try. So speaking of giving it a try, that's what you do in sports, and that brings us to what in the world of sports with John Dinalo. Now, every week for our regular listeners and those of you who are new here, we ask John to find a sport that you may not have heard of, something that's unusual, maybe something relevant to the news. And I often ask, something that perhaps he and I, or even the three of us, or you at home could participate in. And John always manages to come up with one, and at the end we decide, no, we don't want to do that one either. we'll watch TV. So, John, I know you got a great one for us this week. Why don't you introduce your sport of the week?
Okay, Paul, thanks again for the introduction. Well, with so many new sports being introduced at the Tokyo Olympics this year, I thought it would be fun to look at a sport that was introduced at the Games over 100 years ago, and for some strange reason was quickly dropped. And that sport is pistol dueling.
Did you say dueling?
I did say dueling, pistol dueling.
With pistols?
With pistols.
An Olympic sport?
Yes. Let me
Whoa.
explain. It was not unusual for Olympians to fire weapons during the games. Activities involved marksmanship has been part of the event since 1896, when the first modern games in Athens, Greece were held. The 1920 Antwerp Games included 21 different events involving pistols, rifles, or other firearms.
For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, I have an ancient picture of a duel that didn't turn out well. I think so. I'm hoping, John, that you explain to us how the Olympic participants managed to survive to collect their gold and silver and bronze medals.
Sure, Paul. Of course,
Okay.
Human targets were a different matter, but the 1906 intercalated games in Athens would prove to be an exception. The Athens Games, which were approved by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, as a way of bridging the gap in the 4 years between the Summer Games, and to pay tribute to Greece as the innovator of the contest, hosted an official competition for duelists in which they were able to fire not at each other, but at plaster dummies who were dressed in frock coats.
So they dressed the dummies up.
Oh
Right.
my gosh.
Yeah. Now this is. I just put a picture up here of two people, but this doesn't look like a duel, John.
I'm not exactly sure of the picture, Paul, but
yeah,
anyway.
I'm not sure what this was from London, so they may have been practicing here. There's one guy with a gun pointed at another guy. Both of them have trench coats on and masks to protect their face.
Well, in the 1906 games, the marksmen took aim from 20 to 30 meters away.
Okay, that's about what they were.
And the Frenchman, Leon Moreau, took home the gold medal for his shooting.
Wow, French shooter.
Mm-hmm. So dueling was not officially included in the 1908 London Games, but some of the world's best marksmen were invited to participate in a public demonstration at the Games. Some of the participants were already there. They were also competitive fencers. So in that time frame, a lot of the fencers were also good marksmen as well.
I guess, you.
So
I guess that makes sense.
Well, so in those games in 1908, they took aim at one another, splattering wax bullets onto each other's protective gear while standing on the fencing grounds.
Okay, so I have a postcard here from the Olympic Games, and the caption. These two guys are shooting at each other just like a duel, and the caption says, "Wax for lead, bloodless dueling at the Olympic Games. So they apparently believed that this was something that people would.
That's terrible.
But let me continue. So in the 1908 games, a total of 11 competitors from America, France, Russia, and Sweden took part. American hotshot Walter Winans was the favorite, but he bit the bullet when Major Ferris of France scored a direct hit to the heart and won the exhibition.
And I have a picture of.
There's Mr.
Yeah.
White right there.
There's Walter. He had a typical 1908 handlebar mustache, big bushy mustache.
Good.
And my understanding, he's wearing some medals, so he's at least trying to look like he's a marksman. But apparently,
He looks like that cartoon character, that dog. I can't think of his name right.
I was thinking of Yosemite Sam.
Oh,
Yosemite Sam, right.
yeah, that too.
Yeah. But he's not really holding the gun like you would hold it in a duel. He almost looked like he's gonna spin it around like the Wild West guys used to. But apparently, I did a little research on this guy, and he was a well-known marksman who went to France and started up dueling clubs, dueling organizations in France.
That's right, Paul. So yeah, this is after the games in 1908. He began forming dueling clubs and schools in the U.S.
and then in the U.S.
in the next Olympics, which would be the 1912 Stockholm Games. While those games included running deer shoots. Don't worry, no deer were harmed. The moving targets were shaped like deer. Dueling missed the cut again, and that was his last chance. Because the war to end all wars, World War I, began shortly after in 1914. And after they ended, and all of a sudden, shooting at each other was no longer a fun sport. So it just faded into obscurity.
Oh, wow.
John happened to mention another sport that was also in the Olympics, and it was called running deer shooting. And I happen to have. I have a couple of pictures here. That was contested with rifles, old-fashioned old rifles. There's a guy wearing almost looks like a top hat, shooting at a target that looks like a deer. Now this one isn't running, but I have a picture of what the contraption they built. They made a model of a deer and put it on wheels, like on a cart. And here's a picture of these guys. Now this this doesn't seem too bright because they're pushing the deer cutout on a cart while someone is shooting at the cutout.
Don't get hit from the marksman.
There you go. I mean, I know they're marksmen, but even so, maybe just push it then duck would be an appropriate strategy there. So
well, sure.
So in conclusion, John,
we'll probably never see Olympic dueling return. Using wax bullets sounds like an idea whose time has come. I'm sure Alexander Hamilton would agree with that.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Hamilton would still be here if it weren't for. He could have starred in his own musical.
Right. Well, of course, the duel that he had with Aaron Burr.
Although the plot wouldn't have been anywhere near as good had he used wax bullets rather than the real thing. So
it's true.
So dueling in the Olympics. Oh, Karen scoffed when she heard it.
Yeah, I did.
There it was, and I'm certain that it will never return, and we're probably all better off for it, I would say. Well, John, once again, great sport there, and how appropriate for this week when we're all in the throes of the I don't know what you call it. I guess the 2021.
2020, yeah. Well, the 2020 games, but held in 2021, obviously.
2020 games in 2021.
Right.
The last time I looked, Japan, the host country, was ahead in total medals.
I saw the
Tuesday, the 27th. So we'll see. And of course, we will. That's all we're going to say about the Olympics. We don't want to spoil it for you. But since we're not going to be competing in Olympic dueling, we're forced to go to Bluff the co-host. Everybody say
Wow.
I wouldn't say
Tuesday.
forced. I think we're gravitating towards it, Paul. That's
John, some of our listeners may have preferred to see us duel. Those stories, or at least take some pot shots at me.
only with wax bullets, though. Only
They're
That's
only
right.
with
That's right.
That's right. Thank you. That's we have to put our foot down somewhere, and we're putting them down on wax bullets. So, anyways, for those of you who haven't tuned in before, Bluff the co-host is a game that we play where I read 3 stories, very similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. The difference is that some of them may be real, but some may be a bluff, and it's up to Karen and John and those of you playing at home to decide which ones are real and which ones are a bluff. Wagering is allowed, and let's get right to it. Hands on the buzzers, John and Karen. If you're ready, let's go.
we are.
We've heard of Land Rovers, but have you ever heard of a lake bed rover? A man in England actually turned his old Land Rover vehicle into a submersible and drove it across the bottom of a small pond without stalling the car or drowning. The feat says more about the Land Rover than the inventor, because all he had to do was attach a leak-proof 8-foot extension to the exhaust pipe so that the engine would not flood. He kept the window open on his Land Rover in case of an emergency and just held his breath for 15 seconds that the trip took. The company that makes Land Rover said kids shouldn't try this at home, and it has no plans to make a pond rover or a range submarine. Okay, so the man who modified his Land Rover into a lake bed rover and drove underwater across a pond. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
You know, this world has a lot of idiots that would do something like that. So I'm going to say it's real.
It's real. That no matter what his wife thinks, he's going to do it.
He's going to do it
Idiots got to
anyway.
do what idiots got to do. That's
Got
our motto. Okay, so Karen says that story's real. John, how about you?
I'm going to have to disagree with Karen. I'm going to say it's a bluff. And I'm going to say it's a bluff because how can he have his window open if he's underwater, number one, holding his breath? And then this thing about the extension with his tailpipe or whatever, no, I don't see it. I'm going to say it's a big bluff.
John takes the scientific approach and analyzes it and decides that the story is a bluff. So Karen says it's real. John says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. Karen, that's a real story. Sorry, John, believe it or not.
Very
you
good.
left-
Very good. Wow.
Left the window open so that if when the water built up alongside on the outside and there was an emergency, he would be able to open the door against the pressure. And he held his breath. He actually held his breath. And so somehow the actual engine is sealed on the Land Rover, but they had to worry about the exhaust. So sure enough, there's a picture of him with all you see is the pipe sticking out as it goes
Like a
across.
submarine.
Yeah. But idiots, I like that, Karen. That's our new motto. Idiots got to do what idiots got to do. So our score is 1-0 on Bluff the co-host. John, I know I don't want you to get worried here.
Oh,
But,
he's not worried. He's
I'm going to
No,
try
I-
to beat
you know,
myself. I'm going to try.
That gold medal's starting to look a lot like silver. Okay, let's move on to story number 2. A woman in New Jersey decided to get her belly button pierced so she could wear a diamond stud in it. But instead, she'll be wearing a suit when she goes to court because she's suing the tattoo parlor for completely missing her navel and piercing her stomach skin instead. The tattoo parlor owner claims it's the woman's fault because she has an innie that's too small for piercing, but she insisted on one anyway. While the diamond stud looks good in her belly, right above her tiny innie, she wants it outie and put innie the right place. Not surprisingly, the case will be tried in small claims court.
Oh,
John, the lady who got a belly button tattoo that missed her belly button, real or bluff?
I'm going to say this one's real. I mean, the girl's in New Jersey, isn't she? Apologies to people in New Jersey.
New Jersey, that's right. Men or women, idiots got to do what idiots got to do, John. So John says it's real.
I hate to agree with them, but it's got to be real.
So Karen says female idiots got to do, and you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So you both say that's a real story about the lady who got her belly button pierced and they missed her belly button. Let's check with the judges here. And the judges say, congratulations to both of you. That's a true story.
All right. Very good.
Yep.
Only in New Jersey.
Okay.
No, I think it could happen here in Cleveland, too.
I think so too.
Good chance of that.
A little bit of lubrication. That's all it takes. And we're not talking about the belly button piercer either. Okay. All right. So Karen's ahead 2-1. And we move on to, let's see, points are doubled in round number 3. So John has a chance to take the lead and get the gold medal. Let's get right to it with story number 3. A couple on vacation in Hawaii went to the manager of their oceanfront hotel in tears after they were constantly confronted by people on the beach demanding to know what planet they were from, why they were there, and when they were leaving. The manager had no idea what was going on, but a bellhop passing by overheard them and blamed it on their swimsuit. Turns out the couple was from Florida, and their matching swimsuits were covered with little drawings of their favorite animal, alligators. It seems the other guests at the hotel were there for a UFO convention and thought the couple were reptilian aliens trying to infiltrate their meetings and seminars, or possibly even abduct them. Feeling sorry for the couple, the manager let them pick out some new suits in the gift shop, and they were able to enjoy the rest of their vacation. The couple that was mistaken for reptilians because of their alligator swimsuits in Hawaii. Karen, I'll throw that one to you. Real or bluff?
Oh, this is a hard one. Oh boy. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Oh, Karen says it's a bluff. All right. John, how about you?
I have to agree with Karen. I mean, I think it's a bluff. I mean, like, how reptilian-like do these suits make these people look like? I mean, I don't quite get that.
Thank you.
Okay. John and Karen both know that I've met plenty of people who are involved with UFOs and reptilian, and you'd be surprised. But anyways, it's not up to me. It's up to the judges. So Karen and John both say that story was a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations again to both of you. That was a bluff. However, that means that Karen gets the gold medal, and John once again settles for the silver. Sorry, John.
Okay.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
Right. Very good. Very, very nicely done. Nicely done.
Thank you.
I can only
John
try
got
to
it.
do it next week. That's all.
You get the 3 for 3. That's right. Nice parting gift for John, a silver medal.
Oh boy.
Nowhere near as valuable as a gold, but that's okay. It's a participation medal.
Participation medal, yeah. And for our listeners out there are no medals because we do not have a budget.
There you go. No medals, no prizes, no budget.
It's all about the effort. It's all about the show.
There you go. If you haven't been able to tell. But anyway, still top quality, entertaining, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's what you get at What in the World. And we want to thank everyone for listening to us this week, watching us on YouTube, however you come to visit us. Thank you. Please like us and do all this stuff. Check us off, whatever you do on any of those sites. Visit newclevelandradio.net for more information on the show and on the other fine podcasts that Karen provides there. Again, I want to thank Karen Hale for all she does for us at What in the World and newclevelandradio.net. And as always, thank my old friend John Dinalo for What in the World of Sports and being our color commentator and all-around good guy. Thank you, John. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, listeners. We'll tune in again next